And welcome back to Level Up Test Prep. This is a primary source document analysis section. Oftentimes on history exams, you'll see two quotes, usually in opposition to one another, and your goal is to figure out the similarities and differences. And the smart reader will always know to start with the author. I would actually not read the text first. I would immediately check the sourcing. Benevolence on the Propriety of Taxing America, 11th of April, 1767, written by Charles Townshend and published in the London Chronicle. And the second quote is the Virginia Resolves, May 29th, 1765, primarily written by Patrick Henry. So, I can tell by the time period here, we are at the early stages of the American Revolution. Judging off the fact that it's a quote by Patrick Henry, I know this is going to be a generally anti-tax quote, and Charles Townshend is the author of the Townshend Act, so I can assume safely that this will be a pro-taxation argument. Okay, and that is the context. Let's read them together. The colonies submit to pay all external taxes laid on them by way of duty of the merchandises imported into their country, and never disputed the authority of Parliament to lay such duties. The distinction indeed between internal and external taxes is here looked upon as groundless and frivolous, and some are apt to wonder how a sensible people should ever advance it. But an American founds it thus. An internal tax to be raised in the colonies by authority of Parliament forces the money out of my purse without the consent of my representative in assembly. However, whether there be validity in this distinction or not, seems to be immaterial, since if they are willing to pay external, though not internal taxes, and we say they are the same, 'tis then the same thing to us, provided we get the same money from them as much as they ought or are able to pay. Okay, so I can tell that Townshend supports not only the external taxes, but the internal taxes as well, and I can kind of figure that out just off the context of when and how this was published and who published it. He actually then recognizes the American counter-argument that only internal taxes can be that an internal tax raised by the Parliament would be unfair because it's a direct taxation, and historically speaking, they were only used to external taxation. Another issue is that the taxes was to raise money, which they felt was unfairly targeting them, and more or less the taxes they previously paid was to regulate trade. So, Townshend sees no distinction between them and believes that they are both valid forms of taxation. And he recognizes the authority of Parliament to do this. It's going to be a major point of contention with the Patrick Henry Virginia Resolves. So let's read them together. Resolved that the taxation of the people by themselves or by persons chosen by themselves to represent them, who can only know what taxes the people are able to bear, or the easiest method of raising them, and must themselves be affected by every tax laid on the people, is the only security against a burdensome taxation, and the distinguishing characteristic of British freedom, without which the ancient Constitution cannot exist. So, here, Patrick Henry only believes that taxation can occur by the people or someone that the people directly chose. So he wants direct representation. And here, Patrick Henry isn't going to actually engage the argument of internal versus external taxation. It's more so about the authority of laying taxes in the first place, which he denies and rejects. So only Virginia can tax Virginians. Here, Townshend believes both internal and external taxes are appropriate and are legitimate functions of Parliament. Patrick Henry, on the other hand, does not concede that point and believes that taxation must come from within and there must be some sort of representation. Without it, no taxation is valid, regardless if it's internal or external. So how would I write that up? What is the difference between these two statements? And we already knew they were going to be different just by the nature of how these questions are structured. So, Townshend believed Parliament could levy internal and external taxes. However, Patrick Henry believed that only Virginians could tax themselves because they were represented by themselves. So, quite simply put, Patrick rejected Parliament's authority. Okay, that's it for me. Thanks for leveling up. See you in the next video.